Welcome to the Introverted Female Entrepreneur Success Summit. This is a 14-day masterclass series on how to bust through your fear of visibility, develop mindset and business strategies to position yourself to attract new clients and create consistent income and profit. I am your host, Patience Ogumbono. I'm also known as the Visionary Introverted Woman. What does that mean to you? That means that I'm one of you. I'm an introverted female entrepreneur, and I understand the pain points as well as the aspirations that you have to achieve success in your business on your own terms. That is why I have put together this masterclass series. But I've also decided, who do I know that I want you to know? Because the people that I know are fantastic at what they do, and they are great to bring you the key nuggets and strategies that you need to succeed in your business. So one such expert, an entrepreneur who talks the talk and walks the walk that I have with me today is Angela de Souza. Welcome, Angela.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited about doing this interview with you.
So thank you for coming. And also I want to take the time to actually tell you a bit about Angela before she comes through, because I'm really excited to interview her, like I said, and for her to share with you on this masterclass. So Angela's passion is to help people unleash potential, the potential that lies within them and their business. One of the ways she does this is through metacognition, a methodology that sets true thought leaders apart from everyone else. The ability to master one's mind is one of the most basic yet most powerful skills to develop. And those who do so will find it easier to get through rough patches, catapult ahead of competitors, think outside the box, and generally find more creative solutions in business and life. I think that this is very key. This is very important. So we are actually very blessed to have somebody to actually provide strategies to do this. So Angela is keen to ensure that all businesses and business owners' mental well-being is taken care of so that they can also improve their relationship with those around them whom they lead, and as well as be able to assess their thought processes and reframe the way they think to adapt to new situations. And you would agree that it's such an extroverted world that this is key. You want to be able to adapt to an extroverted world, which you can't change all in one go. So Angela is also a prolific writer, author of many books and several more in progress. Angela just loves emojis, and I love emojis too. I have to control myself, but I feel like when I saw the way she uses emojis, she gave me permission to start pouring emojis out there. So she says, for fun, I have a kitty business called Muffin and Puppy that I run with my hubby, who I'm madly in love with. And I thought that is also brilliant as well, because you can have business for fun. And I think that is radical thinking. So once you've done the business for serious, having business for fun is great. And she's based in the Cotswold in UK with her 4 children, 2 grandchildren, and 6 cats. You can tell she loves cats. So I'm really excited, by her to hear her story and her tips and strategies on her masterclass today, which has a very interesting title called Stop Running to the Well. So welcome, Angela. Tell us more about your story. I know I've said a lot about you, but I'm sure there are things you will share here that will be very inspiring and exciting. So tell us about your story and how you got here.
Thank you. My story is a bit eclectic. It has so many different bits and pieces, but I think one thing I've learned is that it's pieces of a puzzle. And as you go on in life and in business, you start to realize that nothing was for nothing, but it all works together to create this beautiful picture of your life. And so I'm not going to tell you all the details, but there's a lot of details. There's my career was never following any particular pattern, and nothing in life seemed intentional or specific. And yet, if I look back through my journey, I can see that there were some key things that really stood out. I didn't know I was a businesswoman. I had my first child when I was 17, and I didn't finish high school. I spent many years being blissfully happy as a stay-at-home mum We were poor as church mice, but blissfully happy. And I thought that was my life. And it didn't bother me. I had no ambition whatsoever. Had loads of fun. And then one day a door opened just to serve in my local church, and I was able to just do something in my comfort zone, which was work with children around the same age as my daughter. And from there, I tell you, my story is amazing. I would take up your whole masterclass just with how amazing it's been. But it's been a journey of self-discovery, because every step I've taken, I've learned a little bit more about myself and realized, despite my lack of education, despite lack of opportunity or lack of confidence. I never had any confidence, despite all the things that you would say should hold me back. Despite all of that, I see that there were certain things that were always inside of me, and they were going to come out. And now that I know that, I nurture those things. I'm grateful for them. I'm passionate about them, and I use them. But because of my journey, and because it took so long for me to be confident in who I am and understand who I'm not, which is just as important as knowing who you are, my passion now is to help others to discover and unleash their hidden potential. And so I want to save people time. You know, life is so short. And I know it's a journey and it has to take time. There are no shortcuts. But at the same time, I just want to share what I've discovered and help other people to get that freedom and that sense of, you know what, this is who I am. This is not, and it's okay. And so I love what you're doing for introverted women, because there's a big difference between introverted and shy. And shy is a whole other story. That's not introverted, although introverts can be shy. And yet introverts have incredible strength, I've discovered, and incredible gifts and talents. Yet we almost disqualify ourselves. Like, oh no, I can't do that. But once you discover what you can do and your potential, then you start to just be yourself, and then the doors open, and then you're able to be free within who you are. And in the business context, for me, that means I know what I can do with my businesses, and I know that I need to get other people to do other bits where they're better than me, where they have different talents. So my story goes from being a teenage mum with no prospects, no confidence, nothing, through to a life of just discovering. I think that's how the only way I can sum it up is stepping through doors. If people give me a challenge, saying yes, even though it terrifies me, discovering who I am, and then later on in life, just loving who I am. And so the things that are inside of me are helping people to discover their potential. And business, I didn't know how much I loved business, but because I didn't have a formal qualification, I never thought I was a businesswoman. Very much using the strategic and analytical side of my brain, you know, building things and growing things. I'm very passionate about that. And connecting people, that's the third thing I would say that's inside of me. So what I found in my journey, and others, I hope this inspires others, but what I found in my journey is that no matter what context, whether it's in a job or in a church or in a voluntary community setting or in my own business, no matter what context, even as a mother or in my family, in every context, these key things, they will come up, they will shine through. In every context, I will want to help people find their potential. I will want to organize and strategize and build, and I want to connect people. And so that is core, and I understand that now, that is core of who I am. So in everything I'm doing, I'm checking that I'm using those core parts of me and allowing them to help me flourish. And it's you and your viewers, you know, have they discovered those core things? What is there in your life that will keep coming up, no matter what context? That's a key indicator. That says that's who you are. Use that, you know, flourish that.
Wow, I like so many points you've made here, that it's, you know, so many points, real great points, like saving time, for example, and being consciously aware. You know, I hear a lot of people say age is just a number. And I'm one of those people that disagree, because a 20-something-year-old feels different to a 40-year-old. The only way you feel different is to actually recognize that 40 is coming. So you're building yourself up to face 40 in an energized, empowered way. So I like what you said about time. I like what you also said about the core, being aware of the core things that, because some people say, I don't know my strength, I don't know my passion, I don't know my purpose. If you flipped it and the reframe you've given here, where you say, what's the core things that every time you find yourself doing? So for me, for example, is being visionary, is being a strategist, is connecting people to, is just actually seeing what people can't see about themselves and having unwavering self-belief. I have a quote that says, impossible is just an opinion. Feel free to disagree and carve your own path to success. Because I carved that because I would listen to people and nod my head and go do it anyway, kind of thing. Although, like yourself, it took me so many years. I guess with all the things you've said about experience, about confidence, there must have been some very popular myths and beliefs that you had to overcome, that you had to bust in this journey to be able to become who you are today. So what are maybe one or two of those popular myths that are out there about a person becoming successful in business, whether six figures, whether billionaires, whether five figures? What are some of those myths?
I think the first myth that comes to mind is the myth inside my head. The myth where I'm saying, I'm not good enough. I'm not qualified. I can't do this. And then the list of reasons I give myself. I think that's the first myth that all of us have to deal with. We need to work on our own mindset, our own set of beliefs, and we need to change them when they're wrong. So that's I think that's the first thing that comes to mind. I think another myth that really rubs me up the wrong way, and I don't know if you'd call this a myth, but it's definitely something that I find important, is, these adverts that say, for example, come to me, I've got a strategy that can make you six figures in 6 months, or, that I don't know how you would capture that as a myth, but it's the concept that anyone can achieve the same results in the same amount of time using a particular system, and that, I think, sets people up for failure. I would never do that, because I don't know your story, I don't know your skill set, I don't know where you are in the journey, I don't know your experience, I don't know your support circle, I don't know who you've got behind you, I don't know anything about you, and I can give you the best possible system that in mathematics and in theory looks perfect on paper. But at the end of the day, it's different for every single person. And so you cannot guarantee those sorts of results. And so that myth in the business world, it kind of rubs you up the wrong way. I love to work with people and help them. But I have a mentoring program that I've developed called Achieve Success Map. It's 12 steps. And I even go as far as to say steps, not weeks, because each step will be either a week or a month. It depends on you. How much of that step do you know? How much don't you know? And how that will determine how fast you get through it. And then results, you can't tell somebody I can get you to six figures in 6 months if your bank balance is minus, 10,000 or whatever. You don't know what a person's starting point is. But if I'm on, like £2 below six figures, then of course you can take me there. So that's a dangerous concept or myth that's been spread in the business world. A lot of people doing that, I can do this and this for you. My guarantee, Angela de Souza guarantee, is that I can help you get from where you are to break through to the next level of success. I can help you with that if you will do the homework. Again, I can't guarantee it. I can give you the theory, but if you don't do the work, I can't help you. It probably isn't directly a myth, but it's the first thing that, popped to mind. And then the whole thing of overnight success is a myth. I always say to people, a little bit in jest, but it's totally true, an overnight success takes around 20 years.
Yep.
That's it. So you can never look at somebody. I'm very skeptical about somebody that says that they went from here to here in a year or 6 months, whatever. I'm like, there must be a backstory. There must. So those are the sorts of things that I think if you're inexperienced in business or new in business, or those things will set you up for disappointment. You know, you'll be measuring yourself against
unattainable levels. Yeah.
Too harsh, but it's almost lies. You know, it's lies. It's like, so the way I measure myself is against my past performance. So I don't measure myself against another person or another company. If I do peep, I only get discouraged anyway. But what I do is I look back, where was I this time last year? And then I'm like, wow, look how far I've come.
Yeah.
And forward to where I want to be next year or 10 years' time. And rather than being discouraged, thinking I'm so far from where I want to be, I just say it's okay because I'm on track. The 20-year plan, you know, the success 20-year plan, I'm in year 9. And for year 9, I'm on track. And so then I'm greatly encouraged.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for everyone in business or even in life. To be sure what they're measuring themselves against. You know?
I totally already feel like, we can switch off and go home, or press a replay and watch this again, because you've really hit the nail on the head. I fell into that trap as well, came out, and I thought, if other people are saying it's possible very quickly, it must be possible for me. I'm not one to kind of go, you know, okay, yeah, maybe it's not good for me. So I started out with that, like, great self-belief, and I think that's brilliant. But along the line, the concepts and the foundations upon which these promises were built, I now realize were wrong. And also, when it makes you forget your definition of success, because you begin to measure yourself against unattainable and unrealistic measures. And when you do that, you always fall short, like you said. And it's quite interesting as well what you said about the steps, because I always say, create your success pathway. Because it's a journey. So you create a pathway, and you will take the ingredients you're given and create your own pathway, your own journey. Where do you want to go? Where you see yourself is different from where I see myself. We might see ourselves on holiday, but the picture I have in my head is Jamaica and you have Spain. So there is no way that the journey is the same. The only difference is we probably both need a car. We probably both need an airplane. So that creates that commonality. Beyond that, I don't know what sort of driver you are. I don't know whether you go by Virgin or you go by British Airways, or which one you prefer. So you're right, and I appreciate that, and also, you know, sharing that with everybody. So it brings me to ask the question, when did you feel like you had a breakthrough moment in your journey that really flipped everything? Because most of us really don't start with that mindset of, I'm just going to ignore the experts. We take it in the beginning, but then we get an epiphany. It's kind of like an eureka moment. And I know before we came on screen, we were sharing our stories. So when was that breakthrough moment for you that made you say, hang on a minute, no, the gurus are not right. I'm going to do it my way and get it right? Yeah.
I don't think there was one. I think, to be honest, there's a series of small breakthroughs accumulate over time, and there's still many more to come. I think it's a journey of self-realization, growing in confidence. I can tell you some small breakthrough moments, but I wouldn't say that was it. Remember the day, I have this weird relationship with public speaking. It's a love-hate relationship. I love it and I'm terrified. And I remember I was once about to go onto a platform. There's about 200 people in the room, and I was having my usual physical reaction to fear. I was feeling unwell, you know, all the stage fright symptoms that you get. And I remember I went into a toilet and I just stood there and I said to myself, you've got this. You know this stuff because you wrote it. You've got the piece of paper in front of you. You know it. And from that day, there was a breakthrough when I realized I wrote the talk. I'm not regurgitating someone else's talk. The words came from within me. And from that day until this day, I've learned that I can put the papers aside and I can just speak from the heart and it will come out. It doesn't mean I don't do my preparation. Don't get me wrong. I can just get up there and wing it. But if needed, I could get up and I could deliver an hour talk because the words are already inside of me. And so that gave me the confidence to realize that what I have to say, because I struggle with memorizing things, right? So once I got over that, it was a breakthrough for me. It was like, wow, I can really do a good job of public speaking. And I went from this intimidated, nervous, fearful person to this really bold, confident speaker. And that doesn't mean I don't get nervous. I think every speaker gets nervous to some degree. I think it's healthy and normal. But that was a real breakthrough moment. And the other thing was I used to be platform and people's eyes would start to glaze over, and I think, oh no, they're bored. Oh no, they don't like that. And I panic about what they thought. And then afterwards I get really good feedback. But then I realized when people go into that place, usually I've given them something to think about.
Yeah.
And so the best thing for me to do is have some white space in between my sentences, have some pauses so people actually process what I'm saying. Because if I'm constantly speaking all the time like I am now, then you've got no time to process what I'm saying. So that's why I say there's no breakthrough moments, because those are two examples.
Yeah.
Helped me as a speaker, and I can tell many more. And so each of those little breakthrough moments have helped me get through to the next level, next level and the next level. I think in business, I have always felt like maybe like a fraud, maybe like not qualified because of my lack of formal education. But I've come to realize that actually I have really good instincts, and there's no formal education that can ever give you those instincts that you need. You can't learn them. And I realize, yes, I'm always learning, I'm always reading, I'm always, equipping myself. I'm not saying don't learn. That would be really silly. But breakthrough moment was when I realized that I need to trust my instincts, because 9 times out of 10, I've said something and I've had nothing to back it, no studies or no quote from a guru, but my instinct said whatever it said. And then it turned out to be right and confirmed. And I was like, wow, I really was on track there. And my husband's my biggest cheerleader because he points these things out. And then I realized, okay. And then he shows me how other people see me. And he says, well, you see yourself like this, but they see you like this. And then he challenges me to rise up and be this, person, to make sure that I have the integrity and the character. And I'm making sure that I'm taking care of my role as a leader, not acting like a small person, but continually pushing myself to rise up.
Wow.
So those are all breakthroughs as well. So I can't say there was a day and this happened, my life changed, and now this.
Yeah. and seriously, that is how it works. Moments of breakthrough, moments of illumination, which we can go through life on autopilot and miss.
We can.
So it's very important from what you've said. It's also accepting, which is one struggle that introverted women in particular have. The feedback that people give, you kind of dismiss it and go, I'm not that great, or, so when loved ones, I have a big cheerleader in my husband. And the truth is, sometimes he says something, I want to say, you're only saying that because obviously if you don't say it, then, it's not great for your marriage. So, yeah, or something. But he explains it, he expounds it. And I also recognize that he has seen me when I wasn't this person, and exactly. He sees me as the person I am. He knows the gaps. He knows the truth. He actually sees me in my brilliant moments and in my not so brilliant moment. So if he's telling me that, I can take that. And so that is the difference. And also some of the things you've said is instinct. People I find that there's some clients, they come to me and I say, what do you want?
Exactly.
And
That's
they struggle with
awesome.
that. They struggle because they think it's not the popular thing. It's not the way it's done. And then they go to somebody and say, okay, she's trying to push me to really hone in on it. And I'm not comfortable because I think what I want is that, not what is really coming out. And you have to draw it out to say, stick with it. Your instinct tells you beyond what the guru is telling you, stick with this, because at the end of the day, we are so powerful as human beings. And that brings me to the very big topic, which I'm so intrigued. I want to hear about. What does it mean when you say stop running to the well?
So that's based on a story, and obviously we don't have time to go into the whole story. You'll have to read it in my new book by the same title. Really, it's the nutshell version is two people have to get water from a well to a village. One person grabs a bucket, runs to the well, runs back to the village, runs to the well, runs back to the village. And another person goes away for a couple of weeks and sits down and carves out a pipeline, connects the pipeline from the well to the village and turns the tap on. And in our businesses, most of the time, we run to the well. We get a client, we run to the well. We get some emails, we reply to all the emails. We do the same things repeatedly. And then the problem with running to the well is you get tired, or you need a sick day, or something happens. Even the kids have a sports day. And so you can only achieve as much as you're capable of running to the well. When you go to the well, you can't deliver. And you have only got so much energy and so many hours in the day. However, if you build a pipeline from the well to the village, you can go on holiday for a month and come back, and there's still a water supply to the village. And so that's the whole concept. And it's a fun story. I love elaborating on it, and it's all about this village in Africa. But that's the short version. And basically, my passion is to help business owners build pipelines so that they can have a consistent flow of income, that they can have consistent processes and systems so that they can grow teams, because if you have a good system and a good process, you can train others in the system and the process, then everybody else can turn the tap on and off, and then the results are consistent for your clients. So at the end of the day, they get the same quality, they're going to get everything consistently, and so it frees you. And then the choice, do I want to scale my business even more? Or do I just want to say, right, I've got this pipeline, let's go to Jamaica, I can step back from my business now. I can retire. I'm not quite ready. I'm nearly there. But I can retire now, and the business will carry on without me. Because pipeline, we've got operations manuals, we've got systems and processes and procedures. Last year, I took a sabbatical for a year. I took a year off. It was a lifelong dream, and I did it. And the company grew. It grew, and I came back, and I was able to now take it to the next level. What happens? Stop running to the well. And that can apply from the smallest business all the way up to a global corporation. There's always room to improve your processes. And so in our team, when we're meeting, sometimes we'll say things like, is that running to the well activity, or is that pipeline activity? And we specify, oh, wait a minute, that activity is running to the well, because we have to keep doing it repeatedly. It's the same thing repeatedly that needs to go into a system. And so I have a rule in our team: you may not run to the well. You can ask for help. How can we systemize this? But we're busy developing a new website, and so our senior developer wanted to do a particular thing, and he says, "Oh no, that's no problem. I can do that manually." And I said, "Nope, because it's not scalable. If we do that manually, and we want to grow into a new country, then it's not scalable, because you won't have the hours in the day to continue doing this manually over 5 countries, over 10 countries. So even if it's a bit more difficult to find a way to automate it, we have to find a way to automate it."
And that is the key word. You said the key word in the end of it, even if it's a bit difficult. And that is what people don't like. Oh, give me the fastest, the quickest way. And the fastest, the quickest way does not create sustainability.
Okay.
If a plant is planted today and grows in 5 days, I can guarantee you the roots are not there. So it's going to wither when the sun really hits it. Because it's not that's why an oak is different from a weed, because weeds you can pull out. Try pulling out an oak when it's in full maturity. You need a saw, you need a chisel, you need a hammer, you need all sorts of things. So I like what you've said, because when some people, listening to this, female introverted entrepreneurs, the struggle they have is like, oh, I can't afford to do that. I need to make money now. And the truth about it is, yes, but while you're doing that, what's the system that you're putting in place for the long term? I personally have been on that journey, and I've decided automation is the way forward, because I worked in audit as well in my corporate life. And I saw how things work, how processes really work. And I used to come in and say, no, you can't do it that way to people. So when it got to my business, I totally forgot about that in the beginning. Then I started going back and I said, there was a reason why I would tell people the manual is there for a reason. Let's set the reality up like the manual, so that when you're not there, anybody else can say, it's in line with the manual, so I can do it. So we're not dependent on you, and it can go anywhere. Like you said, that's the time is scalable. When it's in that position where there is a manual, anybody else can read it and do it. And so I didn't realize that's what it meant. And that story is perfect. It's like I need it to be a film or something because it's just brilliant. So, alongside that, obviously, it means that there has to be a lot of work on you. You talk about thought leaders in your website. You talk about, because I recently started to talk to my audience about leadership skills. And I said that you will continue to have a lead over how your business can grow, over what your life can be, because that lead is the leadership lead. Yeah. So, but it's also in the mind, and you talk a lot about metacognition. So that's another word that I want you to talk about. What does metacognition mean? Or maybe mind mastery, and how can it help the introverted female entrepreneur?
I love that word. I just love the word and everything that it means. But in a nutshell, if you want to simplify it, all it means is what you think you become. That's what it means. And our mind is where all the power lies. So the metacognition process is, you've got to start everything at thought level, because then you can change your belief, and then you can change your actions, and then you can change your outcomes. And so we talk about limiting beliefs, and I believe that people should work on their limiting beliefs, but it goes back to the thought level, because the thoughts are the seeds. And as the seeds grow, they form beliefs. And our beliefs are true to us, but that doesn't mean they're true. But they're true to us. They're real to us. And because our beliefs are so strong and they're so much a part of us, they will determine our behavior and our actions. And at the end of the day, we're then looking at an outcome. Now, if we're not happy with an outcome, most people try to change the outcome. They try to work on the fruit, but the root needs to be dealt with. It needs to be dealt with at thought level. And so once you grasp that, you realize how much power you have to change absolutely anything. I used to struggle with insecurity in my marriage. I used to be one of those very annoying, insecure girls, and there's a reason why, and there's a history which we don't need to go into. But I didn't want to be that person. But one of the steps I missed was feelings, okay? Those feelings are so powerful, but they're not real. So your thoughts and your beliefs in that, they will result in feelings. And because it's a real belief, those feelings are real. So I would feel these very crippling feelings of insecurity, but they weren't based on truth. There was nothing to justify my feelings. It was based on my thoughts and my mindset and my history and all of those things. And I knew that it was no way to live life. And I knew that I would wreck a beautiful marriage if I didn't sort it out. But I fought it. I fought it on thought level, not feeling level. Okay. If I don't feeling level, I wouldn't have got anywhere. What I did was every time I felt insecure, I looked at what I was thinking and I challenged that thought with truth, even though my feelings contradicted it. I wrote myself a list of 5 truths about my husband that I know are true in my head, but my feelings didn't align and my thoughts didn't align. And I reprogrammed my mind. Every time those thoughts of insecurity rose up, I would then read and confess and say out loud those truths until my mind was reprogrammed. And I can't remember when last I felt insecure.
Wow.
But it wasn't easy. It was a long journey. I'm not for 5 minutes and suddenly I was this wonderful, secure wife. No, it was a real battle. I had to fight with myself, and the battle became easier and easier. And I can't tell you the day, because I don't think I'll remember the actual day that I won the battle. But
yeah.
That's very personal to me, and I know it was a real struggle, but for other people, it can be anything. Whatever outcome you're getting that's not what you want, you can trace it back to a root thought, and you can change that outcome by doing the hard work in your mind. So for me, security, I had to rewire my mind. I had to reprogram my mind with the truth, not my truth, the absolute truth. And in this case, it was the character of my husband. I knew his character, but I had to reprogram my mind according to that truth. Now, other areas that I've used the same concept was in the ability to make money. I've had a lot of poverty in my life, extreme poverty at some points. I was even homeless once. I've been through some stuff in the area of money. And so for me to make a lot of money is not something I believe I could ever do or even deserved. And then there's guilt. And then there's all these things that especially introverted women struggle with. The relationship with money is like, oh, money's dirty. Or it depends how you grew up, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I remember the day I was at one of our women's business club meetups, and I was a brilliant speaker. I can't remember anything around this. I just remember the breakthrough moment for me. I remember sitting there in the meeting and I realized my limiting belief. My belief was, I'm making as much money as I can now. I can't make any more. I was stuck. And prior to that, I was questioning, why can't I grow the business? Why can't I move forward? Why does everything seem to be stuck? And I remember that like epiphany. It was like, that's why, because I don't believe I can break through this financial barrier. This is the most money I've ever made. It was a lot for me, probably not a lot for anyone else. For me, it was like, I can't make any more. And I addressed the belief. And I'm telling you, I can't say the exact time, but it was a very short space of time. I broke through that barrier and then moved to the next level. And by next level, I mean you add a 0 onto the turnover,
Yes. I totally can resonate so much with all the things you've said. And it's very interesting that today that we are having this conversation, I did a video and it just hit me. One of the key things is I always use the phrase, which I discovered years back, that says, how you do anything is how you do everything. And so many people just go in a hump and say, no, it's not true. But what I was trying to explain was, when I got stuck around my business, I looked at what I had done in my marriage. And basically, like yourself, we have the same, it feels like maybe 2 people who are different, because exactly my story, my first years of marriage, I had to do that. But I came also from a faith background where I was talking to God and I said, I hate this guy because I don't think he will work for me, and I said, he's so different from me. And I heard in my spirit, if he's like you, where is the growth for you? Where are you going to get an input for growth? So you want me to give you exactly the person that's like you. So what change are you going to establish? I have given you a blessing so that when you don't have perspective, you look at the perspective from his side and you gain a new perspective, and it's in close proximity. And I thought, what a gift. Initially, I was thinking, what a nightmare. How do I get out of this? Suddenly, it became, what a gift. And like yourself, I began to see he's different. He doesn't hold grudges, I do. What is the key to not holding grudges? Okay, he's different. He doesn't go away with the fairies. He doesn't have, he's very detailed person. Why is detail so important? And how can I tap into that as a support system rather than see it as a barrier and a bondage because he won't let me do the big things? But how do I use his ability so that we, those things were really, when I hear your story, I'm like, ooh, wow, this is exciting because, and even last year I had to, so there's so many things. And I like what you said about the thought level, because it so happened that by doing the video today, I came to this realization that the patient that I was many years ago is a different person. And I didn't realize that I had changed. But what changed is everything inside there that had, so it's basically uprooting the bad seeds and putting in new seeds, exactly. Creating new thoughts patterns and capturing, one of the things you've said that audience need to bear in mind is you have to really, for years, have the practice of saying, what am I thinking? Because what is the thinking that led to this output? Like you said, what is the thinking that led to this? And when you dig deep, you'll find it. And when you find it, it's time to address it. It's time to change it. Because I love the fact that in audit, when I did my work, we would go and say, risk is something that stops you from achieving your objective. And then we would say, so if something has happened, what's the root cause? What's the root cause of that thing happening? Not what is the result. We start with the root cause. And it's so brilliant. So I like all that you've shared. And within it, you've kind of given mindset shifts. You've got to be conscious. You've got to change the narrative in the mind. So there is work to be done and there is time to give yourself. And, it brings to mind one of my phrases, when the journey is long, because the roots are deep of that thought pattern, I would say to myself, patience, I offer you grace. I offer myself self-grace. And in so doing, you are offering yourself the time you need to make those changes, which is brilliant. So, if there are some useful takeaways here, what are some key things, even if it's useful takeaways that you want people who are listening, who are doing this masterclass, who have the workbooks that we've given them, of all the things Angela has said, you want to capture these particular bits that are the key takeaways and tips. What are some key takeaways and tips that you want to leave with the audience?
I think my top tip would be take time to discover yourself. I think that's your greatest strength, is being unashamedly, authentically you. And owning it and loving it and getting better and better at it. A journey of self-improvement, but not to become like anyone else, but to be the better version of myself than I was last year or 5 minutes ago. So I'm already working on Angela 2.0, the next version of me. Watch out, because I'm going to get even better, but I'm never going to be like you. And I think that for me, if you only changed one thing, work on knowing and loving yourself. It's not just self-love, it's knowing. You've got to know yourself. And I think one of my other top tips, specifically in business, is I do a lot of business mentoring, and I get to this question in the program where I say, what do you do for fun? And most business women cannot answer that question. They can tell me what they do for work, they can tell me everything about their business, but when I say, what do you do for fun? And what you don't realize is that if you only work and if you're only doing the same thing continuously, you're only exercising a part of your brain. But if you have fun, if you really care about your business and want to be successful in business, then actually using other parts of your brain is essential. Because then if you say, for example, I love music, I like to play piano and guitar and stuff very poorly, which is absolutely fine. I just do it for fun. And so I have to force myself to get into that mode. And once I'm in it, I love it. But I don't feel like, oh no, I'm wasting time, I should be working. I feel like, you know what, I'm exercising the creative side of my brain. Then when I go back to work, I can now have a healthier brain that's able to come up with creative solutions. And so, yes, be yourself, but all of yourself, your whole self. Have fun. You know, it can't just be all work and no play. And if you need a reason, it's bad for business. So there's a business case for actually having fun and enjoying your life. So I don't know how many tips you want, but I could.
No, those are really great tips. Especially you could flip it the other way to say, also don't have more fun than doing the business work as well. So it's kind of like finding that balance, because I know that some people, they like the fun bit, like the social media, but they hate the bit of the strategy behind the scenes, really building the foundations. So the wisdom there is, that fun bit, if you love it and you call it fun part of your business, I think you should do it. So I came to the realization that if you put me on Canva for a whole year, I would love it. But is that how many CEOs of the great successful businesses spend time on Canva? Very, very, hardly any, zilch, zero. So that is not a job for a CEO of a business. And you've got to move from thinking of being a business person to being the CEO, to be able to create something that you step away from. Ultimately, that's what we want. Most people don't realize that they don't set up a business to work in the business. They set up a business to work on the business. So these tips you are giving is very important to remember that, you know, but also if you have a taste of fun, in my view, you recognize that really you want more of it in your life, which will only be facilitated by doing the harder bit as well. So
do the hard stuff too.
Yeah. So I really appreciate that. So if there's one single action, and I know most people that I have asked in this masterclasses, they've struggled with one single thing because there's so many things. But if someone was saying, I've listened so much, which I know you will replay again to watch it, definitely, because it takes a while for things to sink in. So you have access to this. You can watch replays and you can make sure that you follow through. So you just need to make sure that you gain the access that you need to replay. But if you were to leave people with, go away today and do this one single action to start, what would that one single action be?
Oh, that's a good question. It's too much pressure. It's one single action.
I think just choose any one instinctively action that comes to mind.
Okay, I think something that we haven't touched on, I'll talk about that. But I think we all have our champions, our cheerleaders. You and I have our husbands. I wouldn't be doing what I do today. Despite all the advice I've given today, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my husband. So I have somebody I know that will always be on my side, always push me, but will be willing to say the hard things when I need to hear them. And I call that person your champion, you know, your cheerleader. And you don't get many of them in life.
No.
One or two. I have my eldest daughter as well. Actually, my second daughter too. Like they just get me, but they say the hard things, but they encourage me and they believe in me. And we all need that. You and I are fortunate we have that in our husbands, but some people watching this might say, I don't even know what that looks like. I've never had that. I don't, you know, find it. Start to look at your relationships and start to, if you're lacking that person in your life, you need to get some new friends. You need to get out there and meet more people, because there will be that person that will totally have your back. And your best friend, you know, she's such a breath of fresh air when I spend time with her. And we need those people in our life. And some people are struggling alone and they're fighting against negative spouses or negative parents or negative business partners. And if that's you, you know, cut off negative people and start making new friends, start going to new business networking groups, start opening yourself up to new relationships so that you can get that cheerleader in your life. And the greatest way to get a cheerleader is to be a cheerleader. You know, for other people? Are you putting yourself out there and believing in other people, or are you actually the negative person, which is why you're attracting negative people? So I think that would be my absolute top tip. Just take stock of who's speaking.
I'm doing that because absolutely, thank God you didn't think too deep about it and you just went for it, because nobody else has said this. And it's just absolute gold. Rewind, 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 rewind this bit and watch it. So, and as if that wasn't great enough, you have a free gift that you want to share with the audience, which they can watch your video, click on it, and go get that free gift. So tell us about the free gift as well.
I love this free gift. I put so much work into it, and I've been told to stop giving it away because it's valuable. But this is my gold. This is my best stuff, and I've just put it into this freebie. So it's called the Captivating Content Challenge. And within that, you learn pretty much everything you need to know about copywriting, about creating graphics using Canva that you love, you know, about all the automation tools out there, all the scheduling tools, social media. Like, it is so packed. It's like it's a 7-day challenge, and every day you get, I think, a month's worth of homework because it is so packed. And so that's all totally free. There is the option to have even more stuff if you want it. And the best way to get value from that freebie is to actually engage in the live content. So every day, if you do your homework and you hashtag the Captivating Content Challenge and you search for the hashtags on other platforms, you'll see everybody else's homework. And it's really exciting to be a part of the community. So you don't only get the freebie, but you can also find. So I highly recommend that. I think whether you are a beginner at marketing and content, or if you're an expert, there's something in there for everyone.
Wow.
Enjoy it.
That is absolute generosity. And that is the heart of this summit. The heart of is at the heart, it hits the heart of this summit. So thank you very much, Angela, for that. Because it is called a success summit for a reason. You want to bust through fears of visibility, you want to position yourself, you want to bring presence, you want to begin to generate consistent income, you want to get out there and do it your way, a different way, and this allows you to do that as well. So I want to say thank you for that and sharing that. And if you really enjoyed this, then guess what? The quality of the speakers and the experts is brilliant. So make sure that you are clicking on the other masterclasses and gaining new perspective. I can guarantee you new perspective will flow at the end of this summit. You would never be the same after this summit, guaranteed. And because there's nothing like this out there for introverted female entrepreneurs, you are accessing, again, doing my fingers, the real gold that you need. So thank you so much, Angela. And, thank you for taking the time for this masterclass.
You're very welcome. It was a great pleasure.
And see you in the next masterclass. And make sure that you follow through with clicking on your free gift, as well as using your workbook with the notes that you've made. Take care and God bless.